Welcome back to the Play It Down Sports Podcast, episode 15. We're your hosts, Scott and Tom. We start off with more boneheads and clueless actions of the week. Another 3 candidates. Will any of them make the top 3? We'll see. It's Ryder Cup week, baby. We turn our attention to Bethpage Black with our thoughts and early picks. And who will take it down, USA or Europe? After that, we get back to football and look at this week's college and pro picks. Check out results from last week. Finally, we have some week 3 overreactions and takeaways from the NFL. Remember to always bet responsibly.
Some of your overreactions from last week came through this week.
They
by the way,
kind
they
of did,
weren't
didn't they?
overreactions. Yeah,
Danny Dimes won another one. I'm just saying.
Didn't you have Dart on there as an overreaction?
We actually had that after week 1.
Okay.
And now Jackson Dart by week 4 is in. But we'll see. Please follow us on Instagram at Play It Down Golf to get access to our picks as soon as we post them. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcast services. I want to thank a few people for their comments this week. First, my wife, Michelle. She was not pleased with you. Picking. Now, it was a money line pick, so it wasn't like you straight up bet the Rams.
I bet a money line
to beat the Eagles.
And the Rams should have actually covered that. I mean, let's be honest. That's the worst bad beat of all time.
That was unreal.
Eagles even
not
only won the game, covered the spread.
Now, if you had
the lineman that can barely move ran 70 yards.
So we had one huge bad beat in the NFL, which was the Rams and Eagles, and one in college. Oklahoma covering on a safety.
That's a bad beat for the suckers that had Auburn, but not for those of us that had Oklahoma.
So we had 2 this week. Sean O'Leary likes that you're the human yard sale. So that's kind of funny. Tim Grove loved that you're taking some shots at yourself. So
all these comments were related to
your bonehead
bag up. Yeah, all right.
I think you heard from a couple of people as well.
My sister-in-law watched the podcast and was amazed that I played a member guest up at my brother's course, which we covered on this podcast with a string bag in the bottom of the bag. Not only did I play that round,
that club
2.5 months in and out, that club went smashing up the glasses, and they still came out in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
and then buddy Dylan Tyson, who's a listener, he's partners with us out in the Vegas contest. Worked with him for years at Prudential. He basically called and was impressed that we can have this segment on Clueless Boneheads and spend enough time actually talking about the difference in the two and actually what he would say, make it entertaining, talking about nothing. Yeah. So
it's an art form.
It is.
We're
used to that at Mount Tabor. We're sitting down at the patio talking about nothing for a long time. Hours at end. Yeah.
Grab your beverage of choice and let's play it down. What are we drinking?
Well, tonight we're back to this Cameron Hughes lot 911. It is a really good lot. It's I always go back to this lot if I'm looking to get something I know is going to be good. This one is a 2022 cab, and it's you don't know exactly the details of it, but it's a very reduced in price, and it comes from some very premier wineries. You just don't know where they actually are, because that's why they have to put a lot number on it as opposed to the actual name. Oh, you look like you got the
I got the
my nieces and daughters beach drink there.
But we're doing tequila cocktail Georgia Peach tonight by the Bob Does Sports boys.
Do you have Georgia this week in your picks or something, or
you'll have to wait and see, but
right.
There's a chance I do. These things are so good, though. I'm not going to lie.
Looks like a glass of water or something there. Isn't it?
It does.
All right. Well.
And yes, the Georgia Peach.
I don't mean to mock your drink. By the way,
it's just as good as the watermelon wave I had last week. Okay, let's go into our next segment. As always, we kick things off with our boneheads.
You think this guy ever can figure out why these guys are doing their bonehead? This guy that's looking at he just can't figure it out. No. And neither can we sometimes.
And shock. So I think the shocking part of our bonehead clueless actions of the week is we keep running into repeats.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm wondering if you're and I could be indicting myself here, but once a bonehead, always a bonehead. I just wonder if there's any cluelessness. I mean, maybe it just happens that people cannot get away from
from
repeating, right?
because we're gonna start off with number
Repetition is
3.
good, but not necessarily in this case,
No,
right?
no. So number 3, we've seen him before.
Yes, Brian Callahan,
Brian
Tennessee
Callahan.
Titan. Johnny LaBianca's boys from Tennessee are off to an 0-3 start, and this is the leader. This guy is the leader of the team. I like his sunglasses. He might not have the
He's
strap on
styling
like
it.
that,
He's
but
styling it.
yeah, he's got a nice looking shirt there. Hat. He looks official. Talking to. I don't know who's upstairs in the booth though, because
They're not
whoever
giving
they
him
are,
good
they're
advice.
not helping. They're really not. So this is really amazing because a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we had him on as not understanding the rules,
Yep.
right? Elbow
Elbow
down
down equals 2 feet.
equals 2 feet. He didn't know that
Nope.
rule, right? But we've moved past that, right? We
thought.
we don't really like to repeat the past, although sometimes Dave Gordon and others would say that I like to relive the past a lot. So I do bring up his game from time to time,
You do.
past episodes. But anyway, if we just go to the Brian Callahan this week, just confine it to what it is.
The last 7 days.
Yeah. And we go to the end of the first half. And the end of the first half, they're playing the Colts. I still think the Colts are frauds. I'm so sick of hearing about Danny Dimes.
Indiana Jones, baby.
Yeah, well, we're going to see this week. Anyway, so we get to the end of the first half, and we're inside the final minute, and the score is 17-6 Colts. The Titans have the ball, and they're moving down into field goal range. And it seems as though once you get inside a minute, coaches have a real problem with how to manage timeouts,
And we see it on the college side too.
what they're trying to do at the end of a half. And so what we have is we have a few runs, and we get to a 4th and 2 situation with about 42 seconds left, and the Colts call a timeout. Now, obviously, they're calling a timeout knowing that Tennessee's in a little bit of a decision mode. And maybe Shane Steichen, the Colt coach, knows that Callahan's going to screw this up. He calls a timeout with 42 seconds, and now Tennessee's got to make a decision. And when you have to make a decision, you're supposed to make a decision.
Sometimes you don't. He is the head coach, right?
He's the head coach, right? So the timeout expires, and the decision has not been made. So now Tennessee uses their last timeout. So now we've got 2 timeouts, 2 minutes, ongoing with a headset on and the smart sunglasses to make a decision about what you're going to do. And that timeout expires. And there's still confusion. And then he decides to kick a field goal. But by the time the special teams gets out on the field, the play clock has expired and there's a flag thrown. He has no more timeouts. Can't use a second timeout or third timeout. So now the flag gets thrown and the 57-yard field goal that he decides to kick is now 62 yards. Predictably, the kick gets blocked because we don't have the Dallas kicker here. We have the Tennessee kicker. And the Colts block the kick. And now they have their 40 seconds to go down and predictably kick a field goal. And instead of 17-9, or maybe a first down, potential touchdown, all of this botching results in a 20-6 Colt lead at halftime. And the game just got completely away from them in the second half. And
doesn't sound like very smart glasses to me.
Now, so Brian Callahan, you win the 3rd place Bonehead Clueless Actions of the week.
And again, for the second time on the list.
And we've seen, Sean Payton appear on here. He could have appeared a little bit close to appearing again, but nowhere near the level of some of this stuff we've got this week. So
he makes number 3. Again, not very smart glasses, but it's a lovely photo. He looks like a head coach.
Yeah.
He looks like a competent coach. So now after all this, he has now relinquished play calling.
Yes. Yeah. He decided that it was too much to handle to manage the game, call the plays. And I don't know why he'd think that after maybe he's
blowing 2 things.
He might read the rule book
in 3 weeks.
The fans are calling for his firing right now. If there was I can't find it anywhere. I was looking for the first coach fired because I know McDaniels and Dable are up the top. This guy is
McDaniels is going to be number 1.
I think if he beats the Jets this week, which I think he might, this guy gets beat badly by the Texans. He might move up. He might be done this week. Well, but then he can start spending more time listening to our podcast, right?
And he wouldn't be on the Boneheaded segment because he wouldn't.
Probably not.
But I mean, you never know. I guess. Number 2.
Oh yes,
So
we
this
go back to
is
Clemson again.
I mean,
It's
again,
amazing.
it
We
is
keep
amazing.
repeating.
However, this is not Dabo Sweeney.
No,
This is
Dabo Dumbo.
this
I
is
always get
not
those names
this
confused.
is Cade Klubnik.
Yes.
Um,
By the way, a Heisman candidate at the beginning of the season, along
I-
with a team that might, according to some, including Phil Steele and other experts, good enough team to maybe win the
Yep.
whole national championship. I never bought into it. It looks
No,
bleaker. It looks a little bleak now.
Did you have a bet that they missed the playoffs?
No, I did
No,
not. But I had Florida State to make it.
To make it.
Yeah.
And that's looking good.
Looking better.
Yeah.
Miami could get in the way of that.
They could.
I don't think Clemson's going to get in the way of it. But who knows? Maybe Dumbo will figure this thing out at some point.
I mentioned last week that my wife graduated from Syracuse. So she was very, very happy with the game.
Yeah, well, and I'm a Syracuse fan, grew up local to Syracuse. I did not buy into the fact that I really believed that maybe Clemson had enough to be able to take Syracuse down, and I didn't even like your bet, and I was wrong on that. It was,
but the one thing was ironic because you did mention that if I should put anything on the money line, and I didn't.
Well, that's what I would have done.
And I did kick myself.
What I would have done is if I bet it rather than I would have just taken a small amount on the money line to get the value. But
Klubnik is in our
Clueless Nick Klubnik. So he basically had at the end of the game, and this is a kid, right? So we want to give him a little bit of,
a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, but he basically worked his way into in this press conference, calling Syracuse out for faking injury. Now, it's one thing if you see teams will do this. The defense gets tired, and a couple of players will fall are on the ground, and trainers come out, and then they get off, and the fans boo, and it happens. And ultimately, by the way, Syracuse did get fined on this through an investigation for about $25,000. But we are in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left. And Syracuse has completely boat raced this team for 3.5 quarters. And now this guy, who's supposed to be a Heisman leading one of the best teams in the country, stands up and says that that somehow affected, implied that affected the outcome because they had some momentum going in the fourth quarter, down 2 to 3 touchdowns. The final score was 34-21.
They were down.
And we're now focused on an injury in the fourth quarter. And I just, when I listened to it, I was just kind of like, you're not really saying it. And he was sort of trying to minimize that he was saying it, but he said it multiple times.
He did.
And to me, this is just an extension of Dabo and Dumbo Sweeney, right? Like his program is falling. He will not use the portal. His team is not playing well. He's not coaching well. He's lost his defensive coordinator. And I'm just getting sick of this team. Just sick and tired of them. I hope they don't resurface as anything but just a very mediocre team because they steal the headlines, and at some point Dabo doesn't deserve the headlines. Just go out there and play your game and try to win a couple games. Maybe you'll beat NC State or
did you put them in your picks this week?
They're not in my picks.
They're not in your picks. They're not mine.
They're because they're on a bye, so they're not going to lose.
Oh, that is true.
Right.
That is true.
And then Dad will have time to figure this thing out during the bye too, I guess.
Again, listen, he's a good coach. Overall, it's a very good program. But no, you can't be down 2-3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and think a couple guys falling on the ground is the reason that killed your momentum, and that's why you couldn't tie the game up.
This is why Klubnik gets the clueless. Gets clueless.
It's warranted. Sadly, it's warranted.
Yeah.
But we do have a number 1 bonehead clueless person this week, and
your choice, by the way, as the number 1.
Yeah. You ready?
I don't disagree that he should be on the list.
Absolutely, and it is Ryder Cup week. Apparently, it is Ryder Cup week, and Brandel Chamblee felt like sticking his nose in business. He had no reason to stick it. I know he's a commentator, but this entire thing was nothing more than him being so far up Jay Monahan's butt to do the bidding of the PGA Tour to try to knock down a live guy. This is clearly just an attack on a live player.
Mm-hmm.
And
which he's done in the past.
Which he has absolutely done in the past. And he took shots at Bryson. I have a couple of quotes of what he said. So this is essentially what he said. I'll try to cut me off when I'm going too long here. But this is what Mr. Brandel, the clown that he is, said. There's a bit of the Circus Barker element to it. He's trying to drum up some interest for himself. I thought it was pretty poignant there when he was asked about the retort of Rory that he didn't mention the goal this week of the Ryder Cup. He didn't talk about playing on a team and how much that meant. He didn't do that. What he did do was talk about his YouTube channel. By the way, his YouTube channel, 2.8 million subscribers.
A little less than ours.
We're just behind him. We're just behind him.
Right.
But what he did do was talk about his YouTube channel, which, if you want to talk about the numbers that are generated from that, it's pretty dubious. I have no doubt that bots are generating a lot of those views. So he had over 8 million views on his Break 50 challenge with Adam Sandler.
Right.
I don't think there's enough bots in the world.
Don't you think he gets that many views too, Brandel?
Yeah, the golf channel is really stacking up those Nielsen ratings.
I love it when you go off on this stuff. So can we just sort of just say, I know you're going to be putting some other quotes out on the American team.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, even though I'm not a big Bryson fan, and I think he kind of does self-promote, I think he works very hard to try to counteract that. And I think he has accumulated a lot of fans. And this guy has gotten to the point where he's sort of barking up the wrong tree, right? Sometimes you just need to shut up,
yep,
right? And just let things play out. If Bryson hangs himself, okay, you can just sit there and watch it, but you don't need to you don't need to throw gasoline on a fire because he's probably on the loose. It doesn't look good in this situation. Right?
And let's be honest.
Everybody wants wants the Ryder Cup team to be successful,
of course,
and Bryson's part of that team.
And there are very few golfers right now that move the needle. You got Rory, you got Bryson. I'd throw John Rahm in there. I would throw Brooks Koepka in there a little bit. I can't throw Scotty in there because every time he's in contention, the ratings don't go up. They're good, but he doesn't move the needle. Those golfers move the needle. The last thing I will say not last thing I'll say, but the one last quote from, Brandel, is he's an odd duck when he's trying to blend in with the team, and he has so many potential bulletin board mistakes, meaning bulletin board fodder for the Europeans. He thinks, and I think he would be a captain's nightmare. And a lot of people took offense to that word, captain's nightmare. So obviously this comes out. Now all these players are doing press conferences. So what does everyone ask him? What do you think of Bryson, right? So this is what Scotty Scheffler said about him. He's a tremendous competitor. He's a great partner. He's a great guy. He's a good friend. He's been great in our team room. He brings a lot of energy, and the people love him. Being an American means a lot to him, and I'm excited to kind of unleash him this week. Xander Schauffele. I feel like Bryson could be like the difference for us in a strange way. From the standpoint of feeding into these fans, the style of golf he plays, maybe it might change this week. Who knows? These Ryder Cups bring out the best in you at times. But Bryson's this is the arena. I'm excited to sort of see what he can do. Hopefully get a lot of points up on the board because his points might hit harder than maybe my points. And I think the most telling side is what Keegan Bradley said. So this is Keegan. I think Bryson, just his golfing ability alone is an X factor for our team. We have a lot of calm, mellow guys, so we need the energy from Bryson. And he brings that every day in practice.
That's a very fair point with the Cantlays and the Xanders, right? And the Scotties. Yeah.
Last thing he said was, what I'm most impressed about Bryson is the effort that he's made to be part of this team. He has traveled to go out of his way to meet us in our places, and he's gone above and beyond what we would ask of any player to do.
So so Brandel may be a little bit off the mark.
Might be a little off. Brandel's an ass.
So he wins the
number one spot
this week, and it sounds like it's well earned.
It is.
You know.
Again, it's just so off the mark. And the only reason it's even bulletin board material is because he
Now,
made it
let me ask a
bulletin board
question.
material.
It just is, based on what Dylan, is it more boneheaded or more clueless? Because
Ooh,
I think what we could say here is
it's
that,
calculated.
yeah,
It's a boneheaded, calculated.
right. So the calculated part makes it maybe not appear to be clueless,
Right.
right? But boneheaded for
Boneheaded.
sure. The clueless part comes from the fact that he may not recognize that what he's doing is going to like drop his credibility. So
His
the cluelessness part would come from he's saying stuff that maybe people are going to be like, nah, I don't,
Right.
even those like myself who are not big Bryson fans would be, you're kind of off the mark on this. I think that we need to just
Well,
kind of band together on this one, and rather than have you,
all right. So let's move on to some more in-depth stuff about the Ryder Cup. So here's a list of the two teams. So I went with the data golf rankings instead of the official world golf rankings or the
yeah,
OWGR. The OWGR clearly is not accurate these days with because they don't give live guys
that's right. They don't have all the data together.
right.
Yeah,
So what this kind of shows you is clearly that the USA team has a little bit more depth. The lowest ranked guy is 30, which is Colin Morikawa.
he's
Whereas
playing like he's 300 though, Scotty.
I think he gets very little playtime.
Yeah, I would bench him until Sunday, but they won't do
They
that.
won't do that. But I think, and actually, Justin Thomas at 23, I think is
He's benchable
leaps and
too.
bounds better than
Now, the
Colin.
only thing about Thomas and Colin, even though they're low ranked, is they're more experienced than
Correct.
some of these
They, yeah.
guys, right?
Mm.
So the rookies on the U.S. team, Ben Griffin, second ranked on the chart there, Henley, third ranked on the
Yep.
chart, Spawn, right in the middle, and
Young.
Cam Young, who came on super strong. But all those guys are 12 or better.
Yep.
But four of them are rookies.
Yep.
And you don't have that on the European
No,
team.
you don't have as many rookies on that side.
I mean,
Straka?
look, if you're betting on this, and I'm not doing it, you could make an argument that the odds are so long on Team Europe that you would just from a value play, you would bet on Team Europe.
Yeah. So I
Right?
looked at the odds today. It was minus 150 for the US and plus 170 for Europe.
Yeah. I mean, that just feels like it's begging you.
Yeah.
And then on some of these accounts like FanDuel and DraftKings, you can get some decent money. I saw one on Caesars. They give you like almost $100 bet with a pretty good boost, but you got to pick one of these teams. Like
Right.
I would rather pick a player, right? And stay away from my rooting interest of rooting for Team USA. But I think if you were looking for the real value and you really were, like you're rooting for Team Europe, I think betting on them would not be a bad thing,
No, it's
right? From a
listen,
value, but pure value,
right.
right?
It's not. I mean, if you're just looking to
I mean, they've won
again, you
5
love
out of the
value.
last 7, right?
It's plus 170.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started talking about the Ryder Cup, I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was plus 140.
Right.
Gone up to plus 170. Now, listen, from what I've heard this week, a few guys walking on the grounds, they did mention something interesting. In the landing spots, the rough was pretty low. It was only like 2 inches. Whereas typically, like for the US Open, you can't see your feet.
Yeah. Right.
So it will be interesting to see how that does
It'll
help
play
the USA
it'll
team.
play a little easier.
Yeah.
And the length will be critical for guys that can hit the ball.
Right.
Right.
But that's what the teams look like. I will say Victor Hovland in his practice round the other day did chip in again, like he did actually at the last
That
round.
is amazing to me though, because sometimes he throws away so many strokes and he's
He
still
just
very
keeps
effective.
fighting.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I actually a few years back when he was a rookie on the tour, I won a nice like bankroll of money because I was betting him to win a tournament and he got his first win.
Now I just wanted to let you know that the Ryder Cup came out from Mount Tabor, right? We have a Ryder Cup the same weekend. And it is a the
Are the
pro
stakes
makes
as
it
high?
fun. The pro makes it fun. They're not quite as high, right? There won't be as many fans at it. But Dave Gordon and I are teamed up, and we get to play against Ryan Trisler and Jason Washburn. And I'm going to get to see Washburn one more time.
Is he a top 5 putter?
Well, I'm going to see his putting and something that really matters. It's going to be very interesting. You got O'Leary. He's on the opposing team playing with Tyler Ferris, who actually was one of the Wilson Cantrell champion, on the Wilson Cantrell champion team. So
with, Alex.
we're going to have a lot of fun. And I wonder if other courses are doing that. If there's listeners out there who are at courses other than the ones we always talk about here, Picatinny and Tabor, let us know if you have I
can tell you Picatinny is not.
Picatinny does not, and Mount Tabor does. So anyway, I was just kind of looking over the teams as we were starting this, and I found that kind of interesting. We've got some Bob Corey's in there. He's a top 5 putter. We got some top 5 putters.
You do? Do you have the entire top 5?
No, I don't believe Hulsh is in it.
Hulsh the only one missing?
Yeah, he is. And by the way, shout out to Steve. He won the stroke play event.
2-day tournament.
Yep, and Kyle Johnson won the net. Yep. Steve won the gross. And Steve overcame.
Kyle's got to be getting close to the top 5 putter.
Who's that?
Kyle's got to be up there. Yeah, start looking at him. I think.
I don't know. Year. Washburn would tell me that he is the top 5 putter, and that all the young guys, including Kyle, would back that up. Now, I have not polled them to find out whether that's true.
We may have to next year.
Yeah, I might have to sooner than that.
So, in case you don't know what the format is for the Ryder Cup, it's foursomes, 4-ball, and singles. Foursomes, also known as alternate shot. You have to choose what player is teeing off on the odd holes and the even.
Yeah.
So looking at the Bethpage Black, it's a pretty balanced course. There's not much of a difference between odd and even holes. From a,
you know what, Scooter? This makes the captaining really important. Like who you put in the alternate shot versus who you put in the better ball, and who you team together.
Yep.
Right. And that I give Keegan Bradley a lot of credit for. Not only, what you just said, making sure that all the players are, accepting each other, the whole Bryson thing, making sure he's welcomed onto the team, and then teaming them up properly.
Yep.
And putting, you can actually put a player only on Sunday. I don't think you're going to do that here. I think everyone's going to play at least one of the 4 matches, but picking the right one, and maybe they'll all play
right
2.
pairing.
They might, because you also got to stay fresh. Right.
Absolutely.
Playing 36 in one day.
You can't wear them out.
Right.
Especially in that environment. The stress.
The stress is high.
Yeah. So I did get all this information off of DataGolf and building the models on datagolf.com. According to the models and everything, the odd holes will reward distance, whereas the even holes will reward more the mid-iron play.
Maybe you should be the co-captain with Keegan. Yeah.
I think
you could. I don't think he's
who's the coach for Europe? I can't just lost his name. It would have been Henrik Stenson, but it's not. It's Luke Donald. Luke Donald as the coach of the captain of the European team. A lot of praise going.
I had a mental lapse on that too. Yeah. Even though that's been in the news like over and over again. But.
It was. I heard an interesting little thing. He's. If somehow they win, if Europe pulls this off and they win, he would go down in the lore of like Seve Ballesteros from captains of Europe
really?
Teams. Yeah. And the most ironic thing is, if there's no live golf, he's never a captain. He's only a captain because the captain of the last Ryder Cup was Henrik Stenson. He was already named captain, Henrik Stenson. And once he went to live, they replaced him with Luke Donald.
Oh, wow.
And let's be honest, you have Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, and Sergio Garcia. They're not captains because they're on live. So they say the only reason Luke Donald's captain is because of live.
Interesting
little take, I thought. But here's some facts about.
You find a way to get live into every one of these podcasts. I have to give you credit. You really are. It's very amazing that you're able to like somehow
and it's good. It's good stuff, right? It's not all like cheerleading stuff.
Sometimes it's good stuff.
So using DataGolf world rankings as well and the DataGolf models, these are the supposed optimal pairings. Now the pairings are coming out tomorrow, the official pairings. These are not
Yeah,
official.
these will not
These
be
are
what they
no.
are.
These are just optimal pairings.
It is interesting that you can optimize that some data can optimize it because you know what it misses, Scooter? It misses the camaraderie, it's all based on stats and data, right? It's
Yeah.
not taking the human element into account.
Like they
Who's
have
gonna connect better with somebody, who's gonna, I think that's a pretty important component of it, right?
so on the
Like
U.S. side, they have Scotty paired with JJ
yeah,
Spawn.
and I've seen the Henley Scotty share
Right.
as being maybe where Keegan is sort of like leaning, but we'll see.
Which is why they have Henley
Xander,
with
there's no
DeChambeau.
way Xander's not playing with Cantley. I
I
would
can't
be
believe that
shocked
either.
if that's true. So
Right.
even though this data tells you that, I just don't see it.
I
They got
do
a
like
rookie. They got a rookie with a if you look at Cantley and Young together and Griffin and Xander, you're like, okay, we got an experienced guy with a rookie. But how do you break those two guys up?
how about Henley and Bryson? I know you had Henley with Scotty, but I like Henley with Bryson.
I don't think that's bad. I'm just saying I think that
Henley's such a good iron player.
and Henley is supposedly the rookie, right? So
Yep.
you're looking at Bryson hammering the ball in an alternate shot. Henley
getting the accurate iron.
You could argue that Morikawa would play well with Bryson too because of his iron play, right? And his distance. Henley doesn't. I don't know if he hits the ball quite.
No, he's short. He's short. He's not long like me.
Right? Because remember, on alternate shot, these guys also the other guys have to drive.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
now I will say the optimal pairings on the Europe side. I think this is more cookie cutter. I agree that there's no way Rahm isn't playing with Hatton.
That is what I'm counting on for my little.
And I don't see McIlroy not playing with Fleetwood. Like I think that's a solid pairing. I think now the other four, McIntyre and Oberg, Hovland and Fitzpatrick. I think Hovland and Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick's a wild card in this.
He is, but I think that's a good pairing.
Of course, is great. Yeah.
I think McIntyre and Oberg is a really. I think I'm even pronouncing Oberg.
It's a powerful team that.
Again, these 8 players are impressive. So let's look at a couple of bets that we're putting in here. So I have a couple more bets than Tom at this juncture. I have the top U.S. debutant.
And I've got to see more information before I start firing on bets.
Yeah, right? I like this. I did see the top U.S. debutant. A lot of people were picking Cam Young for that. Cam Young was plus 220, 230, something like that. But I took Russell Henley. I had Russell Henley in the last tournament. So I'm a Henley fan. So and I spell his name right.
Debutant is the rookie, right? Just to make
top
sure
rookie.
people who know what
top rookie. And I got that plus 160. And listen, I threw in a hole in one
for 4 to 1.
400, 4 to 1 odds. I took that, and I took Carol Hatton for top Europe player.
Yeah,
from a point standpoint, he'll get the most points.
I can't do a tournament without Hatton in it, right? Like in the 2+ points, giving me, and this was a boosted number. You might not get minus 119. Might have to lay a little more, like minus 140. But I think you could. The way I'm looking at this is he is going to have opportunity to get 3 points, right? He's going to play in an individual event, and then he's going to play at least, and I think probably will play once each day, maybe not more than that. Unless they decide,
I think he plays 2 one day.
He could. So then that's my bank here. If they decide to put him with Rahm and play him twice one day and once on the second day, and then he plays a single match, he's got 4 shots to win just 2 points.
Yeah.
And I'm getting almost even, a little bit of juice at minus 119 with the boost. I might actually go so far as to put your bet in. I like your bet too, where he's just the top player.
Yep.
Because he will not get less matches than anyone else. He will not get less matches than anyone else, right?
Listen, I think 4 is the most anyone's going to play. I don't think anyone's playing 5.
Right.
Right. So.
And if they do, he could be on the list to play 5.
Yes, he could be.
Him and Rahm, right?
He could be.
Yeah.
So, and obviously you have
or Rory and Fleetwood, right? Like, I mean,
they could.
But you would be basically then benching players till singles.
Yes.
You'd almost have to.
You would
right?
have to.
Yeah.
Sorry about I left this week 1, 2. That was obviously from a copy from the other slide, so I apologize for that. All right, should we move on to our college and NFL picks for this week? Not too much overlap for you and I, which I think is good. We have a little overlap or opposites in football, in NFL, but not in college.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first this
All right,
week.
I'll go first. So the first game I got up there is Indiana over Iowa. So let's look at a couple of things. I'm using ESPN's matchup predictor and ESPN football power index stats and all that fun stuff. So obviously Indiana is gonna most likely win this game. They got a 78% chance according to the matchup predictor. But if we look at a couple of numbers, Indiana's offense ranked number 2 in overall. Passing is 27th. Rushing is number 3. They're
I
averaging
mean, their freaking quarterback is now like the Heisman
Heisman
favorite
favorite.
because of Mateer's
Yeah.
injury, which completely screws my Oklahoma bets.
Yep.
I had Mateer for Heisman, Oklahoma over 7.5, Oklahoma to win the SEC, and he's got some sort of injury that required surgery. And
3 to 4 weeks.
I'm
Month
like,
out.
did this really? I mean, why do we do this to ourselves? That's my question. Why the hell do we do this to ourselves? I'm getting bitter just talking about it.
Because
Anyway.
we love to discuss stuff on a podcast, apparently.
Well, it's not just a podcast. It doesn't matter what. I got to pour more wine. All right, keep going.
So they're averaging 54 points per game. It's number 3 in the country. But with all those impressive numbers, their defense is no slouch either. They're only giving up 205 yards per game. It's number 3 in the league.
You know, the total in this game, Scooter, is only 47.5. And at first that caught my eye as an over. And then I looked at those stats on Indiana's defense. I mean, Illinois couldn't move the ball against them.
Iowa's offense is ranked 106th. They're only averaging 33 points per game.
They did play a good game against Rutgers last week. Or 38.
And yeah,
right?
It is Rutgers.
Yeah, I get it, but past Iowa.
But I do like Schiano. I do like Schiano though, so I mean, you gotta give him some props.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically building a case for Indiana, and I'm thinking, is the total too low? And every time you give them one other fact, I'm like, maybe it's not too low.
Maybe it's not too low.
Yeah, right.
But Iowa does have a pretty solid defense. They are 24th.
Yes.
So
yes.
I mean, that's why that number's low. Third down offense, though, is kind of huge. Indiana's number 3 again. Iowa's 21. Turnover margin, I think, is the key here. Indiana's 10th. They're +5. Iowa's even. So I do like the turnover margin. Penalties, they're both fine. Red zone, believe it or not, they're both pretty good. Well,
you dug deep into this. I would say just one thing about this. The situation for Indiana probably is not great. Right? They just buried Illinois at home.
Mm-hmm.
They've had other than that game, they've had a fairly easy path. Now you're going to go to a raucous stadium playing a team that's coming off a nice win on the road. Again, Rutgers not great. I agree with that. And I don't think it's a bad bet. My point here is that I'm not sure the situation is optimal for Indiana. Like, will they just scoot into Iowa and just bury this team because you're laying over a touchdown? But
I don't love the 7.5.
Yeah,
I would love 7.
Like it better if it was 6.5.
I would love it 6.5, but it's at 7.5 right now. I think
the hook's painful.
The hook is scary. I'm not gonna lie. But Indiana's offense, top 5 scoring defense,
lie, Scooter.
third down and turnover edges outweighs Iowa's run defense and the home field advantage. So I will take Indiana and I will lay the 7.
Nobody.
I'll lay the 7.5 points. My next game is Arkansas over Notre Dame. Now, I'm not going to lie.
I love this bet, by the way.
When I looked at this game, I was all over Notre Dame. I was laying the 4.5. And the more I dug into it, the less I could do it.
To the point where you reversed it.
I did. I ended up picking Arkansas.
I love it. I mean, yes. I think
Football Power Index has this very close, 52-48. So it's a very close game.
Arkansas at home.
Arkansas is home. Let's see. They offense, Notre Dame is 15th. Arkansas is 18th, so pretty close there. Defenses, again, Arkansas has the edge on defense. They're 73rd. Notre Dame is 118th. Notre Dame has not stopped many people.
Can you tell me what Notre Dame has done yet to deserve to be a 4.5 point favorite against anybody now?
Right.
I mean,
how are they still in the top 25?
They're still talking about them making the college. I'm sick. This is another one of those Clemson.
I mean, they're going to run off and they're going to win a bunch of games in a row because they have an easy schedule.
But this is not going to be. This should not be an easy game for them.
No, it should not.
Now, that being said, I don't have them on my chart. So.
I did notice that.
But
you
I
were
like
thinking
it.
about it, I know. But I actually, again, the more I looked at, the more I got swayed to go Arkansas, take the points, and again, let's see, anything else? I got some other things to say, but we can.
I will just throw in a couple of things about Arkansas, right? They played Mississippi 2 weeks back, and my recall is that was a 41-35 Mississippi win, a high scoring shootout. And I had Arkansas in that game, and I think they were getting 7, so I snuck by, right? Then they go to Memphis, and I think I had Memphis in the double dog dare you last week.
You did.
They were home getting, and then
And
Hawaii screwed it, right?
and we lost that on the hook because I had I had Fresno, not
Yeah,
here, but
so
in our
Hawaii
Circa.
covers, but doesn't get the money line win. That was a
No,
worth
they
of,
covered.
you know.
On our Circa Millions, it was 2.5.
Yeah.
And I had Fresno and you had Hawaii.
So I got the cover, but it didn't help the parlay pick.
No,
But
it didn't.
anyway, my point with this is that 32-31 loss to Memphis on the road with Notre Dame coming up in the middle of a what do we call it, a Chipwich game?
Yep.
Because they had Mississippi. Now we go and we got to play Memphis, who's a tough team in a weaker conference on the road, knowing we got Notre Dame.
Notre Dame
coming
next.
up. So to me, I don't hold that 32-31 game against Arkansas. Now that being said, Notre Dame will get better as the season goes on, and maybe they will come in and win this game by 2 touchdowns. But I have to see it. I like the play a lot. Anyway.
I'm throwing in a little
I'm
bit.
Sucking
of
up to you
advantage
on a play that I don't even have on my card. So.
Listen, keep doing it. Keep doing it. And to go with my tequila Georgia peach, I do take Georgia over Alabama. Georgia does have a 54% win probability, according to ESPN. Alabama is number 4 overall. Their offense is number 7. Their defense is number 6. The special teams, though, is 18th. Georgia overall offense is 11. Defense is 12. Special teams is number 1. On paper, Alabama grades slightly better overall and on defense, which should help. But I will take Gunner and UGA's balanced attack.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about this game. Again, it's just like the Notre Dame thing. So Alabama goes and gets boat raced by Florida State. And now suddenly we're looking past that, right? By making this line only 3. They go and they beat ULM Monroe. Big freaking deal. They beat them 73 to they took their frustration out on a weak sister, 73-0.
Yep.
And then they go and they beat a Wisconsin team. Now, if I go backwards, right, for a minute, Wisconsin is horrific. They just lost as a 10-point favorite to Maryland last week by nearly 20 points. So I'm giving Alabama no credit for barely covering. I had them in that to cover that 20.5 against Wisconsin. They barely did it.
Yep.
So you're not going to convince me yet that Alabama has proven enough where they should only be a 3-point underdog to Georgia. So another game that I kind of like your play on. They scare me a little bit because I do think that they've righted the ship slightly with the way they've played the last couple of weeks, but they haven't played anybody to prove they got to play someone tough, right? Georgia went in and kind of snuck by Tennessee when they got outplayed. And so the coaching on Georgia, they're home, they've got a good quarterback, and they're going to get better. Alabama's got to prove to me that they can go in there and cover a 3-point, only get 3 points.
And again, this is explosive play versus explosive play, right? They're both top 15 offenses. I do think special teams is going to have a say in this game, which is why I'm leaning towards Georgia.
Yeah, and this game is going to prove a lot about both teams.
Yep.
Right.
I totally agree.
All right.
So those are my college picks. What you got?
All right. So I'm going to go over. I got a couple of extra things on here. It looks like a busy card. It really isn't. It's just some extra stuff down there with the parlays. But I'm going to Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss has changed their quarterback. Their primary quarterback had an injury. This team has not missed a beat. We talked about Arkansas. They beat them 41-35. But more impressively, last week they clobbered Tulane. And Tulane's not a great team from a standpoint of being in a powerhouse,
but they're a good team.
They're a
solid team.
And I think that Lane Kiffin's got this ship going in the right direction. And meanwhile, Brian Kelly already almost made Boneheaded bonehead, bonehead clueless last week, right? If I hadn't jammed my string bag into the bottom of
He
a
was
golf
in.
bag, he would have been in. So to
Another
me,
press conference gone awry.
yes. And to me, I think that this LSU team, and now look, granted, at the beginning of the year, I bet their quarterback for Heisman,
Mhm.
and I bet them at a really good value to win the entire national championship, right? And that still might play out.
25-1.
I got 25-1 and they dropped to 10-1. I haven't
Yeah.
looked recently. I don't think it's a lot better. It's certainly not better than 10-1. I would think it would have gone backwards, but they haven't lost a game. And Kelly's very defensive of his team, but his offensive line, his offense and his quarterback, and he can, beat up the media for asking questions. They're well-intentioned questions and they're warranted.
Oh,
His offense has not been in previous years, his defense has been the problem. This year, the offense is the problem. I just kind of feel like you're going down into Mississippi, and Lane Kiffin tends to do well until he gets under pressure to have to win to get into this college football playoff. Then he starts laying eggs, right? But this is early in the year. He's kind of cocky about his team. Things are kind of flowing well. I think this is a great spot for him. And we're nearly a pick 'em here.
I mean,
He's
I
a-
like Lane Kiffin too. I always have.
yeah, I mean, he's done a lot for a guy who's barely 40 years old,
Yep.
right? So I like that game. Air Force over Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii's played like 6 weeks in a row. We go all the way back to August where they beat Stanford at home. They lost to Fresno last week.
That was one of our first boneheads.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, the Stanford coaching staff and Frank Reich, our buddy Frank. But anyway,
Yep.
I think this is a game where Air Force is just going to pummel them with the option, with the runs. They're going to
Yeah, it's all gonna
control
be
the game.
RPOs.
Hawaii is not a very good team, right? And I mean, I know they beat Stanford, but they lost to Fresno. They're not a team that, unless they're on the island playing at night against some team that's got to travel into Hawaii, I'm going against them. And Air Force, I think, is set up to just, beat this team by 2 touchdowns. And then how could I desert La Tech? Right? I got them on a total over.
2 in a
They've
row.
been playing great.
I
They were an
didn't
easy
take them
cover
this week.
last week.
I thought about it. I looked at it.
I mean, Scooter, I looked this up. UTEP has lost. Let's see if I get this right.
University of Texas El Paso, if anyone is curious what
Yeah,
UTEP stands for.
but if I look at UTEP, okay, so here it is right here. First week, they lost to Utah State, 28-16. They beat UT Martin, 42-17, and then they got beat by Texas in an uninspiring effort by Texas. But here was the one. This same team that Alabama beat 73-0 and is terrible, beat them last week.
Oh,
Now they're home,
this is only 4
but
points.
I can't imagine a scenario under which La Tech, if they play their game, doesn't go in there and beat UTEP. Now I just said that, which is the death sentence.
Probably.
So anybody who wants to bet La Tech, go for it. I really like this play, but these teams that are sort of second tier can disappoint at times, right?
Absolutely.
But I feel really good about all 3 of these bets. The totals parlay. Okay, I put North Texas, Southern Alabama in on its own. I said I wasn't going to do over 60. But
I'm staring at 61.5.
I got this game. I think they're going to score over 70 points. The only problem is it's a noon game, and I hate noon games. I like the later game. I like these totals going over late at night. These early starts can create problems, right?
You're a little slow out of the gate, maybe.
Exactly.
You can't afford slow out of the gate.
No, so I don't really like the time of the game, but I do think if you put that together with an Ohio State-Washington game where I think we're in Washington, Ohio State's got a vaunted defense, but I think this will be a little bit more of a wilder game than maybe you might expect if it was.
I like the total at 52.5.
Yeah, it's a pretty low total, and Washington can score points, and they've proven that. And this is not going to be like Arch Manning's first game in Ohio State,
Right,
and we
right,
got a
right,
grinder going with
right.
two great defenses. We're gonna have, I think, a little bit more action in this game. So I really like the second part of this leg as a solo bet, but I'd rather put these two together for podcast play
Okay.
because this way you put a little less on it and
Yeah,
then you
get a
try to
little extra
capitalize
juice.
on the
Yep.
totals. And then we got our barking dog money line parlay at getting
Plus
640.
640.
Right. And we've got Pitt and Syracuse, two home teams in the ACC, playing a pretty decent Louisville team and what I think is a good
A
Duke
good
team
Duke
that's
team.
just not played well early, but got out of the gate last week.
I'm a-
Syracuse's quarterback out for the year, and Jelly's out for the year. So they're going with Ricky Jackson. But look, he came in and looked good. They had a great competition in camp, and
I need them to get
Jelly
3 more
beat him
wins.
out, right? So like they've got depth at quarterback. Now you're in the dome,
Yep.
and Duke is basically somehow 5.5 point favorite.
All right.
It's the
God, because
line.
of the quarterback.
I tell you what, the line looked smelly to me, which makes me think that it's better to parlay these money lines than be taking Syracuse plus the points
Yep.
because something is not right if Duke can be a 5.5 and people are betting Duke. But what I do like about it is putting it together with a Pitt who's also struggled and lost to West Virginia in a backyard brawl against a bad team.
Mhm.
Now you put these two teams at home and you're giving me 6.4 to 1 on a parlay. Bet a small amount of dollars on it, and maybe you wind up with a nice profit.
So I have Syracuse over 5.5 wins. They
You
have.
need this because you got the Clemson one.
I
Now
got
this is
I
one
got
you would have
3 wins.
expected, right?
I need 3 more wins.
And you would have expected this one,
Yeah.
and not Clemson, right?
Absolutely. I would like Syracuse to get this one.
All right, you want me to do my NFL
Sure.
first, and then we'll jump. Okay.
Yeah.
So NFL, look, I've already talked about the Rams and the Colts have to prove to me they got absolutely lucky to beat Denver at home.
They did.
29-28 with that whole
Yeah, but Denver's got an above average defense.
Not a bad team.
Denver's got an above average defense, and they still put up the points.
Yes. And they put up 33 against Miami, 29 against Denver. And then they put up, 41 against the Titans last week, right?
Okay, I know.
So show me on the road. And 2 of those 3, games have been at home. And then they played a bad team with bad coaching last week, right?
Yep.
And I think pick sixes were involved in that 41 points. It's misleading. I need to see this team show me that they can go on the road against an angry team that just got beaten by the Eagles because they didn't close them out. And you're only going to lay 3.5. I'm taking the Rams. I'll take my medicine. If the Colts prove me and Danny Dimes prove me wrong, or Danny, what are we calling him now? Indiana
Jones, baby.
I like Danny Nichols better for that guy. So
this is what I got.
That was on the practice squad for the Vikings last year.
I do have
cut by the Giants, by the way.
I know. I have it the other way. I'm taking the Indy. So this is my angle. I'll just say it right now. FBI leans towards the Rams.
That when I was going through my rant, by the way.
No, you didn't. So the Football Power Index does lean towards the Rams, but the efficiency splits favor the Colts, covering a field goal, with Indy's offense playing at number 1 level and Rams defense strong but not suffocating. The hook matters.
So here's the thing, Scooter. I love numbers. I love stats. I love box scores, all that stuff. Yep. I have a little bit of a more, I guess, intuition approach. So what's happening in those stats is that they're getting a lot of credit for 33-8 over Miami,
Absolutely.
Right? So those stats, I need to see more data to buy into this Colt team. And I get the fact that the stats are going to show.
Again, it's only 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But I do think the hook matters here.
And
I can see this
being
a 3-point game.
The Rams and Colts both went into Tennessee and won by equivalent margins, right? So it isn't like the Colts haven't deserved to be 3-1. Well, I think they should be 2-1. Not have won the Denver game, but
no, they shouldn't have. They got away. They got lucky on that one.
All right. Well, we're against each other on that one. That's good. And we're against each other on 2 of these.
We are.
So you're going to go with Brian Callahan. Good luck with that.
I do not trust Houston's offensive line.
And the Titans have a cagey defense. So I would agree with that.
And it was just
Well, by the way, let me ask you a question, because while we're on this topic,
and with
Texans,
him releasing
Texans are going to
play
come
calling
up as a possibility in a survivorship. Probably are going to land in one of our 5 Circa picks, I would imagine, since I'm in control of 2 of them. How comfortable are you that they win this game?
No.
Is this a Titan cover?
This is a Titan cover.
Okay.
This is not.
You think the Texans?
I think 7 points is way too much.
You like 13-10 type of score? Okay.
And again, I'm hoping to get a boost from him not doing the play calling.
Oh my God, you're just like the guy. Once a bonehead, always a bonehead.
I just said that. I know.
Twice a bonehead.
I can't lie. When you sent in your picks and you had the Texans, and again, this is one of those games where I had the Texans initially, and the more I dug in, and the more I liked.
You know what? The Titans burned my bankroll last week. I bet on a bad coach. I bet on a rookie quarterback. I've had enough of that team. Right? I put him in a parlay at the beginning of the year with 43-1 for them to win the division with the Steelers. They're not doing anything.
They're not doing nothing.
All right. So the other pick is the Bucks. I've been on the Bucks all year. I actually think I have a ticket on them to have the most wins in the NFL. I love that team. I love Baker. I think you're going to give me at home. I know they're beat up on the line. They don't have Mike Evans. I just think they find a way to make this a close game, and they might lose it by a field goal. But I kind of like the Bucks with a 3.5.
Yep.
I'm happy to give the hook on the Colts, even though you like the hook.
I do.
And so now move to double dog dare you. Money line parlay. This is an interesting one because I was trying to pick like 2 teams that I really thought could pull upsets. We do this every week.
Yep.
I don't really love the Giants so much because of the quarterback change. That's not what's driving. If Russell was in there, I would still pick it. And the reason is the Chargers every single year, everybody is on top of how great they're going to be, right? And they're 3-0 and they've won. They really, I don't know that they deserve to win last week's game. They beat the Chiefs by a small margin, right, in week 1, and they're 3-0, right? I think you come across the country and you're playing a pretty decent Giant team.
I think that's a stretch.
Well, decent Giant team defensively. I think that team can create problems for the Chargers, who are feeling a little bit drunk on their own beer right now.
How many points did the Cowboys score on them? I'm just saying.
I don't look. You can contest it. I'm happy to
Again, I had them under 4.5 wins. So
this is a double dog dare you.
You're not plus 620.
You're not taking the double dog dare you. That's fine. Others might. And then the Jags over the 49ers.
I like that one.
Now, the problem with this game is I don't really trust Trevor Lawrence to do the right thing all the time.
But you're taking a shot.
I'm taking a shot.
You're putting a quarter of a unit on this thing. I mean,
yes, and I'm going to get 620. And I think the 49ers, they're wounded. Purdy's injured. Jennings is out. Kittle is out. Purcell's now out, I think.
Yeah, he is. Well, he didn't practice. It was a knee thing.
I mean, there's just so many injuries with that team that I think the Jags could go out on the West Coast and win that game.
I agree.
So that's why I put those 2 together. And I want a little juice on it, right? Yep. I could have put Tampa or someone else in that. But
I just don't like the Giants. But I have them to, under 4.5 wins. So, we kind of already mentioned my picks with the Titans.
You've got the Chargers over the Giants and your parlay down there. So,
yeah.
So, of course, you don't like the double dog dare you.
My money line boost. The only game I'll mention, we already mentioned Titans and Texans and Indy over Rams. I like the hook for the Indy Rams game. And again, I'm hoping to get a little bit of the boost.
Vikings aren't playing the Browns, playing the Steelers.
I do this fast before we record.
Yeah,
so I apologize.
I just want to make sure the listeners know that are seeing the graphics.
Well, you know what? There's also a chance I picked the wrong game. So I will check,
Well, they're playing the Browns next week.
which is why I could have picked the wrong game. Or you can go ahead and still do it. That's what you'll get right now.
You could do it. You could put the Vikings over the Browns.
You can.
Yeah, if
In the
that's what you
parlay.
want. So this is just an idea here. If the listeners are actually betting on this stuff, and
I did.
that is an important part of your parlay, they play next week,
They
and
do.
that is up there. So
That is a
that's
valid
really
pick.
that's the clarity, is that you don't have to have all the games in the same week.
You don't. So that is an actual pick. I do have Vikings over the Browns.
Right.
So
So this week you got Denver on Monday night over Cincy.
Yep. Packers over the Cowboys.
Sunday afternoon over the Cowboys. Chargers over the Giants.
Also,
you're gonna. I mean, it's gonna get shot before you even get there.
Because you have the Giants.
Right. And then you're gonna have, if that is alive, you're gonna be alive for this. And this is a money line parlay, and you're basically taking 4 favorites.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Panthers over Patriots. Again, I'll be honest, I hate the Patriots. And I want to see, I took Panthers. Let's see if I have any numbers to back that up. Turnovers, New England coughs it up 5 times a bunch. So turnover ratio favors the Panthers here. Carolina's defense has been kind of a bend don't break in the red zone. New England offense has been league average in scoring so far. And I don't like them, so I went with the Panthers.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say about this game is I thought about this with the points and why I stayed. I'll tell you why I stayed away from it. Right. Look, I've got New England under an alternate win total of 6.5, and I went against them last week, much to Tyler's chagrin, and they did lose. Pittsburgh won that game. I'm not sure they deserved to.
They did not.
No. So the one thing about this game is the Patriots are home. They're 1-2. They're well coached, and they absolutely have to try to win this game. And they snuck by Miami in a game that they arguably should have lost. But I say should have lost. They controlled the game, but they were definitely in harm's way in that game multiple times. The reason that Panther-Patriot game scares me is the Panthers were my team last week when they were home, having played well at the end of the Arizona game, almost knocking us out of survivorship potentially. Yes. And then, or multiple teams out, and then coming home and completely belting the Falcons. My concern is now, okay, can they consistently, with Bryce Young, go up to a New England who's going to be hungry, back-to-back home games, and cover the 5.5? I see why you're doing it, because it's a lot of points, and the Panthers are playing well.
Panthers are playing well. Right. I don't trust the Patriots. I don't know if they have. I mean,
you might even argue.
Do you like Drake Mayo?
You're taking the points.
But do you like Drake?
I haven't been a big fan of his, but everybody keeps saying how effective he has been.
But Bryce is, and you've been more of a Bryce Young fan than I have,
right?
Especially this early season.
I think you're betting that because you're going against New England. I'm not trying to dissuade it.
No.
I hope you're right about it.
I am.
I actually want the Patriots to lose that game, but I don't. I feel like the situation sort of starts to feel squishy for the Panthers. Are they going to be able to go up there?
Well, I don't know.
But you're not asking them to win.
I'm not asking.
You're asking them to cover.
I like the 5.5. I can still see this being a relatively close game. It's going to come down to Bryce Young, though. If he has a game, it's going to go either way. If he doesn't, if they crap the bed,
like he has the last 1.25 games,
I'm looking good.
They will be in a tight game.
I'm looking good. Here's our results from last week on the college, and I said I would add the NFL side. You and I both went 2-1 in our college picks. I still have a slight advantage. I'm 8-4 currently. You're 7-6. On the NFL side, I only got my Indy pick. You got the Steelers.
Looks like I was 2-1 in both.
You were 2-1. Yeah. And you're actually doing better in the NFL side. You're 4-2.
Can we just talk about that Raven game though for a minute?
Absolutely.
How bitter I am about that.
I know.
Right. So that team is.
I did not like the pick though.
I know you did, and you said it at the time, and you actually in our Las Vegas contest, you took the Lions. I took the Ravens in a survivorship, and I was like, everything was going so well, right, for us, right? I mean, Dylan lost on the Packers, but we were like doing well.
And how did they lose that game?
Well, I actually thought the Browns had decent shot to win that and bet them, as a later, not a podcast play. I had them just with the 8.5 points. I didn't think they were going to win the game
Well, I'm talking about
outright.
winning. I'm not talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, there were some crazy games, but this Raven team really annoys me because I've seen this happen before, and yet I got sucked into taking them because I thought it was like a tricky play, right? Like most people are not going to take the Ravens, right?
Mhm.
And I was between them and the Commanders.
And most people didn't. There was only 30 of you.
30 took them, and only 100 took the Commanders. And I had the Commanders checked, and the internet thing went down. And I'm like, that's an omen. My gut told me the Ravens might be the better play, but they also have more value than the Commanders later in a
Listen,
survivorship.
Give me a call. I'll talk you off the gut ledge.
I was like, and then they proceed to play like Lamar Jackson gets sacked 7 times. And they're now 1-2, and either them or the Chiefs next week are going to go to 1-3. They play each other.
His over under rushing was 48. He didn't hit 40.
No, he didn't know what he was doing. He looked like he was lost by the Detroit defense of all teams because they and Dan Camp, like, it just was unbelievable how bad that game played out.
And you and I are texting, and it's 4th down, and I'm like, okay, you're still in it. They'll kick a field goal,
I knew
and of
I
course,
wasn't in it. But Dan Campbell
he goes for it, and they get it.
I'm just, it was so agitating. And when I talked to Dylan, he went through the same thing with the way the Packers lost. And these games are gut wrenching when you've got things involved in them and you have no control over them.
Well, how about Tampa Bay, New York? So I have Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is lining up for a field goal to go up 9. It's blocked, and they run it back for a touchdown. Tampa Bay still wins the game, but
luckily for us, they won the game, or we would have lost a whole bunch of additional survivors.
Yes, but that's how quickly that bet flipped for me. Right. Now the Dallas over Chicago. You looked at me when I said it. I said the spread was wrong. It was completely wrong. Apparently, Chicago should have been giving them about 14 points to make this into a game.
Yeah,
Chicago just boat raced Dallas.
I actually like Dallas better this week, but no one else does. Everyone's liking Green Bay.
You know what? They're too Jekyll and Hyde for me right now. You don't know what you're getting.
But that's why I like Dallas.
Yeah,
because I think they're going
to. It might be Jekyll this week.
So the last thing is maybe we just talk real quick about survivorship. We talked about this. So there's 4 of us that are banded together, 7 entries. We have other entries for pick 5 teams every week, right? Or college, we have 7 teams every week. And you have to go into Las Vegas. You sign up, and Westgate and Circa run these contests. We've talked about them in the past. And we have 7 survivorship teams, and there were over 18,000 entries. So there's basically an $18 million pot. Now, right now, because Atlanta and Green Bay both lost last week, we're down to
18% went out last week.
Yep. So we're down to around 13 plus thousand that are left, maybe 13.7, 13.6, something like that. And we had 7 entries, and 2 of them are gone. One because of Dylan's pick on the Packers and my pick on the Ravens, and the other 5 are alive. But the other part of it that's interesting is, so 5/7 is probably not bad relative to the group, but it's also like, what teams do you have left, right?
Right.
So like, who do you have, and who have you been risky enough to take a team that may be like a little risky now, but you're not going to want to pick them later, so you go with them. Like Seattle might have fallen in that camp last week. They may not have a great situation down the road.
I didn't like them down the road.
Right. So we got that same problem this week, right? The Bills hosting the Saints. Do you take the Bills because you're pretty sure you're going to survive?
Yep.
Never a guarantee.
Never a guarantee. Any given Sunday.
But then they have value later, or do you go to somebody like the Texans, who are big favorites, but nowhere near as big as the Bills? But like you said, they have no offense, but you're not going to want to trust them later. This is probably the best chance to take them.
Correct.
Hosting the Titans early in the season. Yep. And then you go to these other teams. Do you burn Detroit? And will they come down after the big win over the Ravens? And can the Browns pull another upset on the road? Right. So you have all these things you got to think about when you're deciding who you're going to pick.
I'm looking at Green Bay.
Right. So you're going to go. This is a contrarian pick, right? If you go to the Packers this week after losing on the road last week, go to Dallas, take them. You're going to have a low percentage of the pool that probably goes with them, although they're a big enough favorite where there will be a
There will
chunk to
be.
take them. And or try to, now Green Bay has value later. That's the only problem with
Yeah.
the Green Bay pick. But it also says people take the Bills in Green Bay, maybe Detroit gets upset, or maybe the Texans get upset, and another chunk goes out. So it's kind of an interesting situation. Like, what do you do in these things? I feel completely wounded by the Raven loss of a team
Yeah,
because if I'd taken the Commanders, I would have been the Ravens have a lot of good future value, right? And every year Harbaugh seems to do something in these games early in the season that just screws that team up.
I mean, even
He's
week
a
one
good
against Buffalo, like he
you lose. He lost that game.
They do things that
Last
just
year they
put
lost
him
to
in positions
Vegas
to
in
lose.
week 2 and
Yeah.
took like 40% of the
Yes,
pool
the
out.
pull out.
So
They just do things.
The reason I took them against Detroit, just to close this, is they have dominated the NFC historically. They have absolutely crushed NFC teams. Lamar has been on it, but usually they're even better on the road. What I should realize is, like, I kind of feel like the Chiefs are going to be tough for them this week. But if they were an NFC team on the road, I'd be like betting on the Ravens. Right? But they know each other, these two teams.
Yeah.
And so the points are valuable for Kansas City at home. I've stayed away from the game, but if you're making me pick one of them, how do you really think the Chiefs are 1-3 at the end of this week? Maybe. I mean, they should be. But anyway.
A couple of quick overreactions from week 3. Caleb Williams is not a bust. He had a heck of a game.
That's an overreaction.
He had a heck of a game.
Was a bust. Now he's not a bust.
Now he's not a bust. We had time to start the Jackson Dart era.
Yeah.
And Dable's already said he's in for the year. Russ is bench for the year.
Well, let's just...
Now, if Dable's there the whole year.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If Dart gets hurt or gets overwhelmed, right, or they release Russ, we could be seeing Jameis Winston in week 9.
Oh, my God.
That's right. And he's going to be, like, breaking your heart because he's going to, like, throw these ridiculous passes and then pick sixes. And you're
I had a prop bet with him when he was in Tampa Bay for, I think it was over 31 interceptions or 32 interceptions, and he needed 2 interceptions. He was 2 behind, and he needed 2 in the fourth quarter of week 18.
Did he get it?
And he threw 2 picks in the fourth quarter, and that bet covered for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how he can. But
he's the true gunslinger.
The locker room loves him. Yep, and he can be. And they don't like Russ. Russ is not.
No one liked him in Seattle. No one liked him in Denver, and no one likes him in New York.
Well, you put up with him in Seattle because back in the day.
Well, because of Pete Carroll,
and because of what he could actually do.
Listen, he still throws the best long ball in the game.
Yep.
And then I have should the Falcons go back to Cousins?
And that's been a discussion all week. I think
I'm not there yet.
I think you can't use that last game, right?
Like, I like Pairings. I still think he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, he is, and I remember liking him a lot when he was playing with Washington. Yep. In fact, they made it all the way to the finals against Michigan, and I had them actually to win the tournament. They win the whole thing that year, right? I mean, he is a good college quarterback, and I think will be a good pro quarterback. The question really is have they pressed him into action a little too soon? Maybe not.
Maybe, but you know what? That's not horrible.
No,
it's okay.
I mean, all of these teams are struggling with their rookie quarterbacks on and off, right? Yep. Minnesota with JJ, right? You look at Ward and the Titans.
Yeah,
they're struggling, right?
But they're supposed
to take your medicine sometimes.
Listen, Troy Aikman, first year as a Cowboy coach, 115.
Yeah, and Manning was not much better.
No, and I'm still shocked they went to Manning because Warner was playing well, and they benched Warner and put in Manning.
Yeah, but I'm also talking about Peyton Manning was
bad. Oh, yeah, you're right. Peyton Manning was also bad. Yes.
Yeah.
He's I think still.
Do we have to keep watching Indiana Jones on your slide?
Yes.
The guy
3-0, baby.
The guy was a train wreck at the with
3-0.
And now we're
Until
Put him up on a pedestal.
I am riding him until I'm bucked. I'm not bucked
can
yet.
you put him on the Live Tour with Bryson and Rahm or something? I mean, just get rid of him.
Oh, I'm riding him. Defense. This was the week of defenses, man.
And special teams.
And special teams.
Yeah.
5 blocked field goals. And I was trying to verify this, but I could not verify it. But I do believe that is the first time you had back-to-back blocked field goals.
What I think is happening? So there's 2 things that are happening with these special teams. Number one, the kickers are able to kick the ball much longer. Okay. But what do you have to do when you kick the ball longer?
The trajectory is lower.
Right. So now one of the block kicks on there would have been the 60-yard knuckleheaded, boneheaded field goal by the Colts, or 62-yard or Titans rather. Yep. Right. And also boneheaded last week was the Colts, right? Which wasn't blocked, but was missed. But I think that the other thing that the Eagles blocked 2 of those kicks is that these teams, not only are they trying longer field goals in general, to kick it further, you have a lower trajectory, which increases the chances of a block. And so if the kickers are not getting the ball up in the air as well as they could because they're kicking it further, that brings in the opportunity for the special teams to block the kicks. And then number 2, if you're a special teams coach, don't you attempt to figure out ways without being leveraging. If you're Sean Payton, you tell your team to leverage and fucking give the other team a chance to. But what I'm getting at is that there's things going on that seem to be helping the special teams be more effective on defense, but also allowing the kickers, when they're not blocked, to have opportunities to kick longer field goals. So you got to have a unit that from the kicking team that can block those guys that are able to get around the edge or over the top and block the kick without leveraging.
Any chance they go back a yard or 2? Why are they 7 yards back?
Well, that's right. But now you got to have your snapper be able to effectively do that and practice it enough to be able to and be comfortable adding on 2-3 yards to your kick.
But this trend of blocked field goals keeps going. That's what you're going to see.
Right. There's got to be, basically, you have to offset a problem with a solution, right? Yeah.
That is episode 15. Couple things. I am wearing the Ryder Cup hat.
We've still got our Westgate. We got the Westgate hat on tonight, which is the college contest that we're in. One of my favorite hats.
I'm in 19th place in the college contest.
We still got the
Phoenix.
The Phoenix hat
it's
and
rising.
The Secure Consult. By the way, I saw a version of this hat that was far better than this one.
So he gave us
I think, the secondary
secondary
version.
hat? Oh.
Yeah, so
I don't know if that can stay on the table.
It's going to go off next week. We need a new one because I saw a version of the new one that someone had on their head and I asked him about it. And Gordon, I think he gave us an old version.
He gave us an old one.
Yeah.
Because he was getting new ones and he gave us a little throwaway there.
Exactly.
That's not good etiquette.
Especially for my partner in the Ryder Cup. Right.
That's poor form.
Yeah.
Next week we will be back. We will hopefully be recapping a USA Ryder Cup victory. And we'll go over our picks and
hopefully your picks will be better next week.
Well, my pro
picks, yeah.
My college, I'm in 19th place in the Circa.
Or you're Westgate. Doing great in that. You got to keep that going.
I got to keep that going.
Yeah. That's worth a shout out. 19th place out of over 1,000 entries.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend, and we will follow us on Instagram to get our picks, and that's it. Good night.